In the heart of Lagos, there was a nightclub called Moonlight Groove, known for its vibrant music and glowing neon lights. Every weekend, it buzzed with life as people from all walks of life gathered to dance and unwind. Among the regulars, there was one woman who stood out like a diamond in the dark. Her name was Ifeoma. She always appeared at midnight, dressed in flowing gowns that sparkled under the club lights. Her beauty was captivating: smooth caramel skin, eyes that seemed to hold the mysteries of the universe, and a smile that could make hearts skip a beat. However, Ifeoma was as untouchable as a star. She danced alone, her movements graceful and hypnotic, and she never allowed any man to come near her. The men in the club whispered about her, calling her the Queen of the Night. Some said she was a goddess who had descended to earth, while others believed she was cursed. Whatever the truth was, Ifeoma never stayed long. By 3 a.m., she would disappear into the night like a shadow, leaving behind a trail of longing gazes. No one knew where she lived, and no one dared to follow her. Until that fateful night when 4 sons of Lagos's wealthiest families decided to break the unspoken rule. They were Obinna, Tund, Emeka, and Jide, all known for their reckless behavior and love for trouble. Obinna, the leader of the group, boasted to his friends, "She's just a woman. How hard can it be to charm her?" The others laughed, cheering him on. When Ifeoma walked into the club that night, the boys were ready. They approached her one by one, offering drinks, compliments, and even promises of wealth, but Ifeoma's response was the same. She looked at them with calm, piercing eyes and said, "Leave me alone." Her voice was as soft as a whisper, but carried a weight that silenced them. Obinna refused to be humiliated. "We'll follow her," he said, determination blazing in his eyes. When Ifeoma left the club that night, the boys followed her in their sleek cars, keeping a safe distance. To their surprise, she walked through the quiet streets with no fear, her gown flowing like a ghostly cape. After a long walk, she stopped in front of a grand mansion with high gates. The house was beautiful, surrounded by lush gardens and glowing lanterns. The boys waited until Ifeoma entered the house before sneaking through a side gate. "What's the worst that could happen?" Jide joked, though his voice trembled slightly. Inside, the house was eerily quiet. The air was thick with the scent of jasmine, and the dim lights cast long shadows. As they moved deeper into the house, they found Ifeoma standing in the living room. Her expression was calm, but her eyes were colder than the grave. "You shouldn't be here," she said. Ignoring her warning, the boys forced their way closer. What happened next was unspeakable, a crime of arrogance and cruelty. Ifeoma didn't scream or fight back. She simply stared at them with a haunting calmness that sent chills down their spines. When they were done, they fled the house, laughing nervously as they got into their cars. But their laughter died when they noticed something strange about the road. They were driving in circles. The next morning, Obinna, Tund, Emeka, and Jide woke up on cold, damp earth. To their horror, they found themselves lying on graves in a cemetery. The names on the tombstones were unreadable, but the air was heavy with a sense of dread. Their expensive clothes were torn and dirty, and their cars were nowhere in sight. The boys stumbled out of the cemetery, their hearts pounding with fear. Back at home, their families were shocked to see them disheveled and mumbling incoherently. The boys couldn't explain what had happened. They only remembered the chilling look in Ifeoma's eyes before everything went black. Days turned into weeks, and the boys' condition worsened. They began hearing whispers in the dark and seeing shadows that weren't there. Eventually, they lost their minds, wandering the streets of Lagos like broken men. Meanwhile, Ifeoma returned to the club as if nothing had happened. The regulars noticed that her aura seemed even more untouchable, her beauty more ethereal. Rumors swirled that she wasn't human, that she was a spirit of vengeance sent to punish the wicked. Word spread about the boy's fate, and the story of Ifeoma became a legend in Lagos. Men stopped trying to approach her, and even the bravest dared not follow her. But the question remained: who was Ifeoma, and what power did she hold? An elderly man named Baba Ade, known as the town's wise storyteller, arrived at the club one evening. He had heard the whispers about Ifeoma and decided to observe her. When she arrived at midnight, Baba Ade watched her closely. After she left, he gathered a few brave souls and told them, "That woman is no ordinary being. Her kind exists between the living and the dead. She is an Ogbanj, a spirit bound to this world by vengeance." The families of Obinna, Tund, Emeka, and Jide sought Baba Ade, desperate to find a cure for their son's madness. Baba Ade agreed to help but warned them, to undo what has been done, the boys must confess their sins and seek forgiveness from her. If they fail, they will never be free. When Baba Ade approached the boys, they were wild and incoherent. Obinna screamed, "She is coming for us," while Tund clawed at the walls, muttering about shadows. Despite their fear, they refused to confess. Pride and shame kept them silent. Baba Ade led the families to Ifeoma's mansion, but when they arrived, they found only an abandoned plot of land covered in weeds. The once grand house was gone, as if it had never existed. "This is her doing," Baba Ade muttered. "She is testing us." That night, Baba Ade had a dream. In it, a group of women dressed in white surrounded him. They whispered, "Ifeoma is one of us. She is bound to punish the wicked. The boys will face justice unless they repent." The next day, Baba Ade began investigating Ifeoma's origins. He discovered an old tale about a woman named Ifeoma who lived decades ago. She was said to be a healer and protector of women, but she was betrayed by men who sought to harm her. Her death was violent and unjust, and her spirit vowed never to rest until vengeance was served. The boys' conditions worsened. Their visions became more vivid, and they began hearing Ifeoma's voice in their heads. "Confess," she whispered. "Tell the truth, or face the darkness." Jide, the youngest and most fragile, broke down first. He fell to his knees in the middle of the street, screaming, "It was us. We hurt her. We didn't listen." His confession brought him temporary relief, but he was still haunted by nightmares. Baba Ade performed a cleansing ritual to help Jide, but the spirits of the other boys interfered. They were too proud to admit their guilt, and their resistance unleashed darker forces. One night, Ifeoma's spirit appeared to Baba Ade in a vision. She revealed that she was not merely seeking revenge, but also protecting other women from harm. "These boys are not the first, and they will not be the last unless justice is served," she said. The families tried everything, doctors, priests, even traditional healers, but nothing worked. Baba Ade told them, "The solution lies with the boys. If they do not confess and seek her forgiveness, they are doomed." One stormy night, the mansion reappeared. Baba Ade gathered the boys and their families and led them to the house. "This is your final chance," he warned. Inside the mansion, the boys were confronted by visions of their crime. Ifeoma's spirit appeared, her beauty more haunting than ever. "Why did you hurt me?" she asked, her voice echoing through the room. Emeka broke down, sobbing. "We were wrong. We were drunk with power and thought we could do anything. Please forgive me." His confession lightened the oppressive air, but the others remained silent. Tund, shaking and terrified, finally admitted his guilt. "I was weak. I followed the others because I was afraid of looking weak." Ifeoma's spirit nodded, but turned her gaze to Obinna. Obinna, the leader of the group, refused to confess. "I don't owe you anything," he shouted. "You're just a ghost." His words angered Ifeoma's spirit, and the house began to shake. Ifeoma gave Obinna one last chance. "Confess, or you will never know peace," she said. But Obinna's pride would not let him yield. The ground opened beneath Obinna, and he fell into darkness. The others screamed, but Ifeoma's spirit said, "His fate is sealed. The rest of you are free to leave." Jide, Emeka, and Tund were freed from their torment. They returned home, vowing to live better lives and honor Ifeoma's memory by helping others. Ifeoma's story became a legend in Lagos. The mansion disappeared again, but her presence was felt by those who sought justice. Baba Ade told the tale to warn others. Respect the spirits of the night, for they see all. Jide, Emeka, and Tund struggled with guilt and shame even after being freed from Ifeoma's curse. They knew they could not undo the harm they had caused, but they were determined to atone. Baba Ade guided them, encouraging acts of kindness and service to others. Slowly, they began helping vulnerable women in their communities, creating safe spaces and advocating for justice. Obina's pride had cost him everything. He was trapped in a world of darkness, reliving his crime over and over. Ifeoma's spirit loomed over him, a silent guardian of his torment. "You will stay here until you understand the weight of your actions," she whispered. Days turned into weeks, but time held no meaning for Obina. Shadows whispered his sins, their voices growing louder until he finally broke. "I was wrong. I was wrong," he screamed into the void. Obina's confession brought no immediate relief. Ifeoma's spirit appeared, her eyes piercing his soul. "Words mean nothing without true remorse. You must prove your repentance through sacrifice." Obina begged for a chance to redeem himself, but Ifeoma warned, "Your path will not be easy, and it may not save you." The mansion reappeared one final time. Baba Ade sensed its presence and knew it was a sign. He gathered the surviving boys and their families, urging them to join him. "The spirits are not finished," he said. Inside the mansion, the air was thick with an otherworldly energy. Ifeoma's spirit greeted them, her beauty now tinged with sorrow. "You have begun to right your wrongs, but true redemption lies in helping others who have suffered like I did." She showed them visions of women who had been wronged, their faces etched with pain. "Go to them," Ifeoma commanded. "Protect them. Fight for them." Jide, Emeka, and Tun formed an organization dedicated to protecting women from violence and advocating for their rights. They named it Ifeoma's Light in honor of the woman who had shown them the way. Their efforts gained recognition, and they became symbols of change. People began to speak openly about issues that had once been silenced. Despite their efforts, the boys could not escape their past entirely. Nightmares of that fateful night haunted them, reminding them of their sins. Baba Ade advised, "The scars of your actions will remain, but let them guide you toward righteousness." One night, as Jide walked through the streets, he felt a familiar presence. Turning around, he saw Ifeoma's spirit standing beneath a street lamp. "You have done well," she said, "but there is still one among you who has not found peace." Obina, still trapped in darkness, was given one final chance by Ifeoma's spirit. "If you truly wish to redeem yourself, you must confront the families of those you have wronged and accept their judgment." With her guidance, Obina was returned to the living world, weak and disoriented. Baba Ade found him and took him in. "Your journey will be the hardest," the old man warned. Obina visited the families of women he had hurt in the past. He knelt before them, confessing his crimes and asking for forgiveness. Some forgave him reluctantly, while others could not. Their anger was justified, and Obina accepted it without complaint. Ifeoma's spirit appeared to Baba Ade one last time. "The mansion will disappear forever after tonight. The boys have begun to change, but their work is far from over. Watch over them, Baba Ade. Ensure they remain on the right path." At sunrise, the mansion vanished, leaving behind an empty plot of land. Baba Ade marked the spot with a small shrine, dedicating it to Ifeoma's memory. People came to the shrine to leave offerings and prayers, asking for her protection. The story of Ifeoma and the boys spread across Lagos, inspiring a movement against gender-based violence. Ifeoma's Light grew into a nationwide organization, drawing support from all over Nigeria. Obina devoted his life to the cause, working tirelessly to educate others about respect and justice. Though he could never erase his past, he found peace in knowing he was making a difference. Baba Ade continued to guide the boys and their organization. His wisdom became a cornerstone of their work, and his stories inspired countless others to join the cause. One evening, as the boys gathered at the shrine, they saw a soft glow emanating from it. Ifeoma's spirit appeared, her face radiant with peace. "You have honored my memory," she said. "Now I can rest." With Ifeoma's blessing, the boys felt a renewed sense of purpose. They vowed to expand their efforts, reaching more communities and empowering more women. Ifeoma's spirit ascended into the heavens, finally at peace. The mansion, the cemetery, and all traces of her presence faded, leaving behind only her story as a guiding light. The boys' transformation became a beacon of hope. Their journey showed that even the worst mistakes could lead to redemption if met with true remorse and action. Years later, the story of Ifeoma became a cherished legend. Children grew up hearing about the Queen of the Night, who punished the wicked and protected the innocent. Her name became a symbol of justice and resilience, reminding everyone that the choices we make define who we are. Moral lesson. The story of Ifeoma teaches us that actions have consequences, and no matter how powerful or untouchable one may feel, justice will prevail. It emphasizes the importance of respect, humility, and accountability, particularly in how we treat others. True redemption requires not only admitting wrongdoing, but also taking meaningful actions to make amends and change for the better. Moreover, the tale highlights the strength of forgiveness and the transformative power of remorse. It reminds us to stand against injustice and to protect the vulnerable, fostering a society where compassion and respect triumph over arrogance and cruelty. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed our story. Please like, share, and subscribe. Bye for now.